Game three, Yankees-Red Sox needs absolutely zero introduction, and neither does our guest, but I got to do it for formalities. Coming on with us right now is longtime Yankees beat writer for the Post, Greg Joyce. Greg, back-to-back ESPN instant classics we've seen in this wild card series. I guess I'll go ahead and start with this one. We're talking about the coaching matchup that we're seeing. Aaron Boone and Alex Cora have been playing, I guess, a chess match all series long with their lineup, their pitching, and in-game decision-making. After Boone's moves in Game 2, do you think he outmanaged Cora to even this series, or is Cora still, I guess, holding the upper hand going into Game 3?
Yeah, I mean, Corey definitely tried to go for the kill, I guess. Yesterday, kind of taking Brian Bayo out early third inning and trying to go bullpen the rest of the way and finish the series right then and there in game two. That could have potentially tried to lead, the Yankees into kind of, playing some of those platoons, pinch hitting some guys, but Aaron Boone kind of stuck with his guys, stuck with Ben Rice, stuck with Jazz Chisholm, and obviously those two guys were two of the biggest heroes of the game for the Yankees. Rice having the early home run, and then Jazz coming through late with his base running and some defensive plays as well. So it seems like it's back on equal footing here going into Game 3. The thing with Cora's gamble yesterday is now the Red Sox are kind of you know looking at somewhat of a bullpen game tonight. They got a rookie Connolly early starting. But he's only, thrown like 70, 75 pitches, 80 pitches in most of his couple MLB starts so far. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And besides the actual win last night, one of the biggest wins the Yankees got was making Garrett Whitlock throw, I think, 47 pitches. So that's one of the Red Sox best relievers who we'll see if he's available tonight. But yeah, it seemed like Cora was kind of going super aggressive last night, trying to finish the series, and and the Yankees were able to hold on. And the one other area that Boone kind of was better at in game two is that same part of the lineup came up. Did he put Luke Weaver in game one that backfired, and that same lineup, same part of the bottom part of the lineup came up last night when Rodon was done, and Boone went with Fernando Cruz this time and ended up getting out of a bases loaded jam. So like you said, it's kind of a chess match between these two right now, and we'll see how Game 3 finishes tonight.
The next part or the next move of this chess match is the Game 3 pitching. As you know, pitching is always going to be the headline in a do or die game, and two rookies are the headliners tonight. Cam Schlittler gets the start for the Yanks, and as you mentioned, Connolly early gets the start for the Red Sox. On the Yankee side of things, how do you see Boone kind of handling the starter versus bullpen strategy in Game 3? You think they're going to ride their guy deep in terms of Schlittler, or do you think it's an all hands on deck type of night like Cora went in Game 2?
Yeah, I think a Game 3 winner take all. It's got to be all hands on deck. But I do think they trust Schlittler maybe more than a normal rookie. He's shown in the time that he's been up that he's kind of earned their trust. In his last regular season start, he went 7 innings. Granted, that was against the Orioles, and not a high stake, the super high stakes game like this. And so we'll see. I think it depends on how Schlittler looks early, what his stuff looks like, how he's kind of handling in the environment. There's been nothing to suggest that he can't handle it so far. He's pitching some big games against some good teams during the regular season, but obviously this is another beast. So I'm sure they'll kind of read him early, but he's been a guy who, he has the stuff to get through a lineup a couple times, with that high 90s fastball and enough secondaries to kind of carve up lineups. So obviously the pressure will be on him this Game 3, unlike any that he's pitched in the big leagues before. So I'm sure that, I don't think it's going to be a super long leash if he were to get into trouble, but I think they trust him enough to give them a good start. And then, when they feel like maybe his stuff's taking a tick back or that he's getting in some trouble, I think they'll go to the bullpen. Most of those guys that there's been a couple guys who have thrown on back-to-back nights, but their pitch counts have been fairly low. So the Yankees pretty much all season haven't thrown any guys on 3 straight days, but that's so that they're in a position to do so now. So I wouldn't be surprised if at least most of those guys are available tonight. And so they should have almost all, if not all, of their high leverage guys to be able to find a way to get through 27 outs or more if needed.
When we talk Game 3 rival game, we know all about the stars on the in the Yankees lineup. but who would you say would be the unsung hero for tonight? Like, who's going to come up big in a clutch moment tonight for the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, through the first two games, it's been pretty quiet for Giancarlo Stanton, and obviously we've seen him have so many October moments the last couple of years. So you're kind of waiting. It seems like he's just a matter of time before gets a big hit. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has one. Trent Grisham has had a fairly quiet first two games. He was a little bit productive last night, had a double and a walk, scored a run, but he's a guy that during the regular season it seemed like in the clutch when the Yankees needed a big swing, he delivered there. So keep an eye on him too, and also just the two guys who did it last night with Ben Rice and Jazz Chisholm, obviously in different ways. Rice with his power and Jazz with his speed and capable of changing the game at any moment. So the Yankees have kind of had different guys do it through the first two games. But like I said, Stanton's been a little bit quiet, so you figure that maybe that changes at some point here because we've seen it happen so many times before.
Ben Rice hitting a home run in his first postseason at bat. Growing up in Massachusetts as a Yankees fan, you can only dream of that as a little kid. And if Trent Grisham comes up big again, I'm gonna shave down my beard and I'm gonna go with the stash for the rest of the postseason. But now it's a winner take all. Game 3. You've covered this rivalry for years. We've all lived it for years. With how this season has gone for the Yankees after making it to the World Series last year, what's at stake for Boone, for Judge, and this Yankees group if they lose to their arch rival in this spot?
Yeah, I think it's a lot on the line. Every playoff series is, but especially this one. The last two times, this group of Yankees with Boone and Judge have faced the Red Sox in the playoffs. They've been sent packing. Obviously, the 2018 ALDS and the 2021 wild card game, with the Red Sox winning both of those. So, that's the recent history between these two teams in the playoffs. But also just the rap on the Yankees has been a lot of times when they've beaten up on some AL Central teams in the playoffs, and they can only play the teams that are in front of them. But that they seem to have some harder times against teams that are either AL East teams or the Astros in the West. So I think there's a lot. It's a big kind of a prove it series. Obviously, beyond what happened in the regular season, it's the playoffs. So obviously everything's on the line. But there's a team that did give the Yankees trouble during the regular season, and has at times through the first two games. But it's kind of one of those series that helps kind of build legacies, I guess. And obviously it's just the first round of the playoffs, but another team that gave the Yankees trouble during the regular season is waiting in the ALDS and the Blue Jays. So it would kind of create another opportunity to have another big moment there against a division rival. But obviously got to take care of business tonight. But yeah, there's a lot on the line, kind of high pressure situation. That's when you see what teams and star players and are really made of. So we'll see what the end result is tonight.
I forgot to say it after your answer, but my unsung hero is going to be Anthony Volpe. Like, I have a feeling Volpe's going to come up big, especially after everything he went throughout this season. I'm rooting for that guy. Greg, get to and from the stadium safe. It's going to be a wild one tonight. Thanks for joining us, man.
You got it. Thanks, Brian.